Hi everyone, my name is Junon. I have a health science background, and I'm the author of the book Truth and Empathy: How to Find Your Soulmate. And I'll put a link to the book below. This video is about the romantic compatibility between INFPs and ISFPs. I think that most of us ask themselves the question, who's the best match romantic with another person based on certain characteristics? And I think that brain types, which is essentially MBTI personality types, is a good starting point. So let's look at what INFPs and ISFPs have in common. The first thing that is kind of self-evident is that one is the sensor version of the other. So the ISFP is the sensor version of the INFP. So you'll see that if you look at their frontal effect, they have pretty much enough things in common. So obviously they're both feelers, which means that they are right brain dominant. So these are people who are empathetic, they come from the heart, they tend to be warm, affectionate. These are people also who like to bond well with their loved ones. So this is something that they will appreciate about each other. And they tend to be gentle as well. Now, when it comes to them both being introverts, it means that they need to be alone or with a few close friends and family members to be energized. So you'll see that they like to spend time on their own. And also you'll see that with the INFP, because they are obviously intuitives and also introverts, so this is even more important for them to be alone to recharge. So you'll see that sensors, yes, they do need to be sort of like isolated if they are introverts to feel better, but I would say that it's more so 100% intuitive, because intuitives tend to have better energy than sensors. Now, you'll see that in the case of the INFP and the ISFP, they will very much appreciate about each other, sort of need to have this alone time together. Now, the other aspect is that obviously they're both perceivers, which means that they like to give themselves more leeway, so they're not as structured as the judges. They like to change it at the last minute, so they like this aspect of letting things be less predictable compared to judges. So they will appreciate that about each other. Now, when it comes to the challenges they might be facing, is that one is that the ISFP is obviously a sensor perceiver. So these are people who have a short attention span, and they like things that are very sort of new and different. And the theme of their lives is movement and freedom. And these are people who probably are going to be attracted to the arts. They're more risk takers. They're the type of people who don't mind being an artist or opening up their own business. By contrast, the INFP, being an intuitive feeler, the theme of their lives is spirituality and meaning. And also, they tend to be slower. If you look at the intuitive feelers, is that they have the slowest brain waves of all the personality types. So these are the people, they don't perceive time the same way. So that can be an area that could create friction. But I would say that probably ISFP is more understanding that way, because they are feelers and an introvert, so they probably are more accommodating. So that could be an issue. Now, when it comes to like the attention span, is that the INFP has a long attention span than the ISFP. So the ISFP will probably want something new and different almost every day, whereas the INFP doesn't mind just being more of a into a routine compared to the ISFP. Although they might have small issues, I think that the INFP ISFP combination will work rather well. The other aspect is that both the ISFP and the INFP have good energy, because the ISFP, actually, if you look at the sensors, they have the best energy. And when it comes to the INFP, is also among the best one when it comes to intuitive feelers. So, in other words, they won't drain each other. They can spend quite a bit of time together, and that would be pretty good. So, I would say that they might need a bit of readjustment, but because of the fact that the INFP is the intuitive version of the ISFP, they will see that they have quite a bit of overlap. I mean, they might have issues in terms of like the logical aspect, because you feel like their function stacks, that they have extrovert thinking as their fourth function. So let's say if they are in a situation that requires sort of logic and practicality, they might run into problems. They might need someone from the outside to come and help them. But I think overall they should do really well. And even in terms of their finances, I find that INFPs and ISFPs tend to be rather well in terms of not overspending and not being sort of like as a, let's say, a risk taker compared to, let's say, the ESTP, which really are into entrepreneurship and being more of a risk taker. So overall, I'm seeing that this is a rather good couple. So, in other words, I think that because of the fact that obviously they are both feelers, both introverts, both perceivers, and they tend to be accommodating, I would think that then they will probably get along really well. So let me know if you agree or disagree with this compatibility analysis by commenting below. If you like this video, if you learned something, please click on the like button. Remember also to click on the notification bell to be notified of the videos I'm going to be making. And we will talk soon.